Getting us started this Wednesday, President Trump delivered his second annual State of the Union address before Congress on Tuesday night. He urged lawmakers to break what he called decades of political stalemate. His words follow the 35-day government shutdown with the threat of another one looming. In the Democratic response, Stacey Abrams, who lost the Georgia governor race last year, said the shutdown was a stunt engineered by President Trump. The president also announced plans for a two-day summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Vietnam later this month. And he made an apparent reference to the Russia investigation, citing, quote, ridiculous partisan investigations. Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte responded, echoing the president's calls for Republicans and Democrats to put aside differences and work together to produce results.
President Trump is right. We must come together to address the challenges facing our country. Republicans and Democrats should do what we did last year, come together to deliver results for the American people.
Senator Steve Daines reacted on Twitter saying, I commend Donald Trump for his leadership in putting U.S. ag first, and I will continue to work to reduce barriers to trade. Senator Jon Tester also weighed in, stating he will always work with the president when it's right for Montana and will also hold him accountable when necessary. Tester saying he agrees with the president's call for unity and bipartisanship, but the words will ring hollow if not paired with action. Back here at home, as the brutal cold continues, it means another day of changes to school schedules. Northern Cheyenne Head Start, Wyola School, Chief Dull-Knife College, and Lame Deer Public Schools are closed. St. Labray and St. Charles Mission have a 2-hour delay, with school starting at 10 o'clock and buses running 2 hours later than usual. Lodge Grass Public Schools will start at 10 today, and Pryor Schools will start at 11 o'clock this morning. A dangerous cyberbullying trend that's making its way around the world has hit Montana. A 12-year-old Lockwood child is the latest target of the Momo Challenge. It traps children in a game, asking them to do violent tasks or else loved ones are threatened. This image is called Momo and appears to a child from the smartphone app WhatsApp. The Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office took a report from a parent Monday night saying their child was selected for the challenge. Momo gives tasks that become progressively more dangerous and violent, even leading to suicide in a few cases. The Sheriff's Office says this is a reminder to all parents to know who their child is talking to online.
But as a parent, they're your kid. You need to be in their business. You need to be looking at their phones. You need to be doing random audits on your kids' phones and looking at messages. And I know there's Snapchat and things like that where they disappear, but put restrictions on those phones and hold them accountable to it. And let them know that there's evil people out there.
Another alarming thing about the Momo Challenge, kids are not seeking it out, it's selecting them. In Monday night's Lockwood incident, the child unexpectedly received the message. Authorities say Momo named the child's friends by name as targets. A 30-year-old Billings man is jailed months after the shooting death of another man on Billings West End. William Kinney faces a charge of negligent homicide in connection to the shooting death that happened November 21st in a home on Canyon Drive. Court documents state both were high on hallucinogenic mushrooms when it happened. Prosecutors say Kinney shot and killed his 25-year-old friend before turning an AR-15 on himself. In court documents, Kinney told police the two men got high on mushrooms and that things got, quote, kind of crazy. Kinney says both men thought they were dying, so Kinney shot his friend and then himself. Kinney's father found the two men in the basement of his home the next morning and called police. Kinney was taken into custody after appearing in court on Friday. His bail is set at $50,000. A man who buried his less than 5-month-old nephew alive last year near Lolo Hot Springs has changed his plea. If you recall, the boy survived even after he spent hours face down in wet clothing and partially buried under sticks and debris in the woods. 33-year-old Francis Crowley pleaded guilty to criminal endangerment and child endangerment on Tuesday in Missoula District Court. The Missoula County Attorney told MTM that Crowley also entered a no-contest plea to an assault on a child charge. Authorities say the infant was in Crowley's care while he was high on meth and bath salts. Crowley and the child's mother camped in the area, and when others noticed the child was gone, they called the Missoula County Sheriff's Office. After an extensive search, the baby was found in the woods and rushed to the hospital. Court documents identified Crowley as the baby's uncle. His sentencing is set for March 12th. A Billings woman who initially admitted to police she stole close to 1,000 pills from the Billings police evidence locker has changed her plea to guilty. 38-year-old Rollin Strizich was charged back in June of 2018 and changed her plea in Yellowstone County District Court on Friday. Strizich was hired as an evidence technician for the Billings Police Department in September of 2016 and told her supervisor that she started stealing the pills in July of 2017 and was taking them for her personal use. In a plea deal, Strizich says she is guilty of purposely destroying and removing the evidence. Her sentencing date has not been set, but prosecutors have recommended that she complete a drug intervention program and pay the city of Billings restitution. Under current law, microbrewery tap rooms in Montana must close at 8 p.m. A bill before state lawmakers would extend that closing time to 10, but it ran into stiff opposition. Montana craft brewers came out in force on Tuesday to testify for the bill to extend their closing hours. They say another 2 hours will help the booming industry keep growing and appeal to more tourists in the spring and summer months. Farmers who grow malt barley and hops also testified for the bill, which is sponsored by Democratic State Representative Dave Fern of Whitefish. But Montana tavern and restaurant owners strongly oppose, saying if brewers want to sell more beer on retail, they should have to get a retail license. John Iverson of the Montana Tavern Association told the House Business and Labor Committee that beer consumption in Montana is growing only slightly. He says tap rooms are asking to expand operations by different rules to take business away from bars.
This bill is not about economic growth. It's an economic shift. When a new brewery opens and they hire a new bartender, a bar closes and fires a bartender. The breweries that want to retail more beer through this limited exception want to have their cake and eat ours too.
If we're allowed to have 2 more hours to operate, the things that we'll be able to do immediately are hire more people to serve that beer. And to make that beer, I will be reinvesting in manufacturing equipment, and I will be hiring another brewer.
The House committee will act on the bill at a later time. The battle over construction of the Keystone XL pipeline is now moving to the 9th District Court of Appeals in San Francisco. The Trump administration filed an appeal Friday to U.S. District Court Judge Brian Morse's rulings to block pre-construction work on the pipeline and require a new environmental review for the proposed route. This action is the latest in the decade-long fight over the proposed 1,179-mile-long pipeline, which runs from Alberta, Canada, and crosses a half-dozen states, including eastern Montana, before connecting with an existing line in Nebraska. Developer TransCanada Corporation, which recently changed its name to TC Pipelines, says the project will cost $8 billion and boost the local economies along the route. Written arguments are expected at the 9th District in April.